Hey everyone, welcome back to Money Talks. Today we are talking about the cash flow glow up, the number one shift to stop money leaks and start building your real wealth, your true wealth. When we think about our money, a lot of times people say if something's not working, it's mindset. It's in our head. Our thoughts get all messed up in there. They go into our heart. They become these feelings. And then our hands are like, what action should I take? And I refer to this as shiny object syndrome. Are you familiar? I know all about that. That self-sabotage. To me, when I think about shiny objects, I think of the way I self-sabotage, racking up $100,000 worth of debt, knowing that I knew better. And I had a system in place. I had my money multiplier system in place. Of course, I didn't call it that, but I had these money buckets in place and everything was automatically processed, right? I had everything on ACH and all my allotments were set up through my payroll on my, 3 side gigs. I had the money coming in and I would just use it to pay down the debt because that was the purpose of getting the side gig. I'm going to make money to help people to pay off my debt. That was the whole purpose. Hustle, 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 grind. But when you're making 6 figures, especially when it's coming in multiple income streams, sometimes it doesn't feel like you're making 6 figures and you're wondering, why doesn't my bank account feel like I'm making 6 figures? Why does it feel like a leaky bucket, right? My money bucket's broken. It's got a hole in it. I should get a money bucket with a hole in it. But you're not alone, right? It is not your fault. Most business owners were never taught how to keep money. They were taught how to hustle, how to grind, how to multiply their money, how to invest their money, but they weren't taught how to keep money, only how to make it. So I'm Lisa Drennon. I'm your wealth activator, your profit strategist, and the founder and creator of Cash Flow Glow Up, of I Date Money and Cash Flow Glow Up, which after paying off $100,000 in debt and realizing that I was a self-made millionaire, I was able to retire 2.5 years early and move to my dream home at the beach. I realized I want to help other moms do this. So I really, started thinking about how can I help? What can I do to help mompreneurs multiply the money that they already have without pulling their hair out, without feeling like, they were going scatterbrain which way and that way, without feeling like they were incompetent, that they, to have that self-assurance, to have that confidence, and to be able to say, you know what, instead of being chaotic with my money and wondering why my P&L doesn't match my bank accounts, I get to turn that chaos to confident wealth growth and really look and implement a simple solution that works for me, that's aligned with my core values. I don't have to cut expenses and give up lattes and eat ramen noodles. Don't need to do that. I get to spend my money the way I want to. So the first thing I want to ask you is, what's your number? What is your number? What's the magic number that you want to make, that you want to bring in your net profit in order to feel safe, in order to have that financial freedom that you so desire? When we think about, we hear on the internet, all these people making all this money, most of the time they're talking about their gross sales, their gross receipts. But after they pay off all their expenses, you have $1 million company, you have a lot of expenses. You have a huge team, you have payroll tax, you have, other taxes, you have operating expenses. You don't get to keep that $1 million, okay? It all gets tallied out, right? It all gets tallied out. Just like if you were working a 9 to 5, you get your paycheck and you're like, oh yeah, my gross is $50 an hour. And you look at the net, it's like, where'd all my money go, right? I pay so much money in taxes. That FICA took so much. Who's FICA anyways, right? So you've got a business that brings in consistent income, right? Maybe you have multiple income streams coming in from child support, alimony, you got 3 or 4 side gigs, you got some businesses going on, maybe you got a little nest egg, you got $350,000 sitting in the bank, you got a 401k, a Roth IRA going. If you don't have those, let's chat. I highly recommend that Roth IRA. But if you're juggling team expenses, subscriptions, and then trying to pay yourself, you could be avoiding looking at your numbers because it's overwhelming. And you might believe that you don't have enough to pay yourself and that you're giving yourself the leftovers. So when you think about it, when you set aside money for taxes, there might never seem to be enough. When you set money aside for operating expenses, you're not enough. When women come in to work with me in the Wealth Accelerator and I introduce the Money Multiplier system, especially if they're, working on their debt, we have a Crush on Debt program, and we take 20% of our income to pay off the debt. And they're like, and then 10% to save, 10% to give, 10% to have fun with. And most women look at 10% to have fun with. Well, I'm not spending that. I haven't had a haircut in 2 years. I haven't colored my hair. I'm not spending this money on myself. Yes, you are. Because one, you're worthy. And two, you are your best asset. You want to invest in yourself. But when you think about what you are spending your money on, it's not in a way that's congruent with your core values. You're not spending your money in a way that it's planned. You don't have a spending plan in place. You don't know that number, that bottom line number. So the first thing I want you to do is find out that number. And truth bomb for you, making more money won't solve your cash flow problem. Managing it will. And if you love that word managing, let's talk. Go grab a nice drink and hang out with me for a few more minutes. So the cash flow glow up. It's not another budget. It's not something that you're going to abandon in 2 weeks. You're going to pay $10 for an Excel sheet and think, oh yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm all excited. And then when you get it, you're like, oh my God, it's so overwhelming. Forget it. This honors your lifestyle and supports your wealth building goals. It's very simple to implement. In the cash flow glow up, I teach you to think of your money like a team of employees. Every dollar has a role. Some are hired to pay you, some fund your dreams, some tackle your taxes, some give generously, and yes, you get to enjoy your life. You get to enjoy the money that you're making because you are the CEO of your business. Shouldn't you get bonuses? Shouldn't you enjoy the money that you have? Imagine what it's like to be able to go out and spend money guilt-free. I remember the first time I set up my fun money account, I got a special card from Fidelity, and I went to this place called Kelly's Apple Farm. It's in upstate New York, and they have the best apple pies. And I remember like their apple pies were like $20, and they had like homemade apple bread and turnover. It's just everything was homemade. You can watch them make it right there, this old farmer's market, right? And so I got some cider. I brought all my stuff up to the thing, and my husband was with me, and the cashier starts ringing it out. It was like $60. So I handed her my fun money card, and I was like so excited. I just felt like so calm and peaceful and no guilt. I was like, I got 24 of my favorite donuts, and I was just, I can't wait to bite into these. I could still taste the hot, fresh donuts and the smell of cinnamon, and it's just so wonderful. And my husband looked at me and goes, "You're going to spend $60?" I'm like, absolutely. This is my fun money. And I felt empowered. I felt like I had claimed my sovereignty, and I was just like, yeah, I have a money bucket for this. I don't have to worry about it because the money's already allocated. So when you think about it, when you implement this system, the cash flow glow up integrates the money multiplier system. So, one of my clients has a six-figure business. She has multiple income streams coming in, and she was just bouncing all over the place. She loved to go to Target. Every week, her and her friend would go to Target. They'd go to the clearance caps, and she'd just buy all this stuff because it was on clearance. I said, oh, well, and she had this dream to want to visit Ireland. And I said, well, why don't you just start saving money for it? Let's create a spending bucket for it, a money plan. And she's like, well, I can't afford that. That's too much money. I said, well, how much money does it cost? She didn't know. So we researched it. We figured out how much it cost. And she says, well, I just don't have it in my budget. And she didn't like to keep a budget because her ex used to make her track everything down to a stick of gum, is what she said. So she didn't want to know budget, but a spending plan, she was all ears for. So when we implemented the money map to show her spending plan for her business and her personal income, she realized that she's spending between $60 to $200 a week at Target at those clearance racks. And I says, well, what if you just took a portion of that and put it in the money bucket to go to Ireland? This is how much money you need at this rate. This is how much you can put aside each week. Well, she started doing it. She decided not even to go to Target anymore. The next week she went to Target, and she was with her friend, and she looked at everything and realized she wasn't using the things that she was buying. It was just something that was filling a void because she was told back in her past, and it could be all the way from childhood in her subconscious, that she had to hold on to money, she had to account for every penny, and she couldn't spend it. So this was like her being rebellious. I'm going to spend the money the way I want to spend it. No one's going to tell me what to do, right? And when she realized she still had stuff that in her drawers that had tags on them, she stood in front of that clearance rack and I don't want to buy anything. And her friend said, "Where's Susan and what did you do with her?" She's like, I'm just working with Lisa in this wealth accelerator, and I just want to use my money elsewhere. And so she didn't. she didn't buy anything. And it was like a awakening, right? And then she got to go to Ireland. So when you think about what's my spending plan? How do I want to spend my money? And if you want to spend your money on lattes and fancy food and whatever, you can. You get to. You get to spend it the way you want to spend it because it's congruent with your lifestyle, your core values, and it means something to you. And when you realize what you're spending it on, you're creating a master plan, a spending plan with that magic number that you want in your hands. You want that P&L to match your bank accounts. It makes everything smooth. The cash flow comes and money overflows and comes in expected and unexpected ways. All of a sudden you'll start getting referrals and, you'll get money and refunds and rebates and windfalls and you're like, woohoo, and you got to celebrate that stuff. So what would it feel like for you to know exactly what's coming in and where it's going? What would it feel like for you to have taxes and team expenses covered without scrambling? What would it feel like for you to finally pay yourself without guilt? And what would it feel like to actually watch your savings grow? If you're tired of the hustle and you want clarity with your cash, join me for the Cash Flow Glow Up Masterclass. It's just $7 and connect with this workshop. You'll get the replay. There's a special bonus in there and you're going to walk away with your first cash flow map, your money map, and know exactly how to stop the money leaks for good. So click the link below and get your glow up, get your cash flow glow up and start to glow up financially, spiritually, and energetically because it doesn't matter how much money you have. It's what you do with it.